Welcome back to our series on sovereignty as it applies to women. Last week, we talked about empowerment for us personally as women, and we gave some examples. So if you missed that episode, take a listen to it. It's important. Today, Jen Day and I are going to talk about returning to the body as a spiritual act. And spirituality, I love that word because I feel like it's something personal and unique to me. My religious preference is my preference, whatever, but my spiritual practice, that's all mine. Nobody has it.
Mhm.
And as women, I do believe sometimes we become detached from our bodies, from our feelings, maybe as a safety mechanism, maybe from trauma. And we're going to talk about that today and give you some pointers on how you can return to self. We've both experienced trauma. We've traveled through that darkness, which has been a gift. I won't say what happened to us is the gift. The gift is what we have chosen to do with it.
The
And
gift is what we experience when we get to the other side.
it's work. It's not an easy path. But when you come together with a collective, a support system, people that can understand you, it helps. And that's really what my purpose is with this series is to let you know you are not alone. We have walked this walk and we're here for you. And just as a little plug for Jen, she does have a whole program on this, which I will give you. She's going to give you a free lesson, and I'll put that in the show notes. And as for me, I have a journal that you can start, a little piece of artwork that you can write an affirmation on the back of and say it to yourself every day. So look for those in the show notes. Let's get started and talk about this important topic of returning to the body and somatic practices. Maybe people don't understand somatic practices. Do you want to dive into that?
Sure. I think it's important for us to begin by saying, just to tag on to your spirituality comment, it is my belief, and also it's functional to consider we are spirits in this body walking on this planet. And that doesn't have to be your forever belief. That doesn't have to, maybe that's the first time some people who are hearing this have ever heard that. I think that it's important to consider that we as spirits, consciousness, if you will, can be in our body or we can flee. I think everyone can admit they've had an experience where they felt themselves just go whoop. And it's the consequences of fleeing in that way are that you don't really remember what happened. Time passes and you're not aware of the length of time. Sometimes it's as jarring as you almost get in a car accident and you go, and then as you're recovering and putting yourself back in your body was the language I was about to use. Time is exactly what I'm talking about with leaving and returning. I am really comfortable in my imagination and curiosity. And that is a way I get out of my body. Many clients talk about symptoms of not being in your body, having a somatic experience. Their mind is running. They have anxiety, can't sleep, feel angsty. These feelings are characterized by breathing only into the upper part of your chest. So if you breathe and focus to push the breath to your belly button, that is a somatic practice. That is a practice that puts you more firmly into your body. I actually have such a history of not being in my body. And I learned this through the Caro Nation in Peru. I breathe all the way down into my feet. And I spend a little bit of time like, huh, how do the bottoms of my feet feel? My feet are a little cold. Where's my big toe? Am I aware of my little toe? What are they doing? There are energy centers on the bottoms of our feet. If we invite those to turn on, all of a sudden, as I said that, my ankles become vibrating. So I'm aware of my ankles.
I'm feeling my feet vibrating right now just by you talking about it.
When I'm working one on one, I start with these practices, getting your consciousness out of just your head and all the way fully in your body. You'll notice my voice changed. I was speaking slower than at the beginning because I am more in my body. That's
Mhm.
somatic, a somatic practice to put you in your body. There are
Right.
many somatic practices that we hear about often, breathing in and out. Those of us, I'm a certified yoga instructor, and we learned about many of the breathing techniques, box breathing, interrupting the central nervous system by breathing in for 7, holding and out for 8, and blowing out
Mhm.
4. And all of these different patterns are ways to get our bodies to recognize that we're here and safe. We feel heavy in this body. We're filling it
Yeah.
out.
There is a scientific reason the exhale is longer than the inhale. When you inhale, there's 2 systems in your body, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The
Mhm,
sympathetic is fight or flight, which we need to get ready for danger or something like that. And the parasympathetic is relax and let go.
mhm,
And so when you are breathing in 4 and exhaling for 8, you're activating the parasympathetic nervous system,
mhm.
which allows you to relax. The book I read, The Body Keeps the Score. I listened to it on tape because I like to listen and do other things. But he talked about we all hold these experiences, trauma, whatever, in ourselves, in
Mhm.
our body. And if you are not aware of that and you're not practicing these methods, you detach from your body. And
Yes.
that's where PTSD comes in, right? Because the experience was so traumatic and so painful that people can't attach to that in their body. But again, the power, the gift is in recognizing that, moving through that
Mhm.
pain, and then eventually being able to look at it from the outside as opposed to being right in it. Because somebody said, I'm never going to forget my memories. I don't forget the memories, but I've learned I don't have to live in them. I can observe them as a bystander and see they're painful, feel a little bit of that pain, but I'm not in them.
Mhm.
And that's why this somatic practice, I think, is so important for women,
Yes.
especially.
A lot of people think that PTSD, they mistakenly believe that PTSD only is experienced by those who have maybe been at war or in a violent relationship. PTSD is caused by the stress that happens when we experience something we cannot make sense of. Something that might hit me as PTSD might have stressed you out for a minute and you walk away. But my body was like, whoa, that dinged me in 20 different ways, and we don't know how to make sense of it. The best way that I have found to make this make sense for people is if you are a witness to an accident, you were not a part of that accident, but that does not mean that you did not feel stress related to that accident. And some people who experience witnessing something violent like that do experience a lot of PTSD. A beautiful practice that I have had to do a lot of is to use the breathing techniques that pull me into the parasympathetic state while I am in a heightened state of stress.
Yes.
That is a beautiful way of almost like brain spotting or EMDR. The practice
Yeah.
of EMDR, if you've heard of it, is where you're literally moving the memory from where it's stored attached with emotion into another part of your brain where the emotional hit is not there. You're not eliminating the memory, just
Exactly.
taking the emotional hit out. I had to do a lot of work. I still do it often when I'm feeling out of my body or super stressed or I can't sleep. I used to make fun of myself. Caution, self deprecating humor is actually harmful and abandonment of yourself. So I used to say, make jokes like, I'm the world's worst sleeper. With my history, one can imagine why I might have been vigilant and not able to relax and rest. Rest, a privilege for someone feeling very stressed and activated. I use breathing techniques to get myself out of an activated, heightened state, which at which point I wanna go and get out of my body like we talked about, and I breathe, and you can actually I saw someone today, and I wanna share it on the podcast. She was like, "You know how you get into those heightened places? You take a cotton ball, and if you are your body naturally breathes more into one nostril than the other, and it switches back and forth throughout the day. So some of you may have heard of yoga nidra breathing. That's when you plug a nostril and you intentionally breathe.
Yeah.
The right-hand side is your sympathetic nostril, and your left-hand side is the sympathetic nostril. So if you have just experienced a moment where you are stressed or you're out of your body, you can literally take a little piece of cotton and gently plug this nostril, your right-hand side, I think, I don't know what side it looks like to them. And you don't plug it entirely, but you make it so that you are breathing more through the left nostril, and that will help your body relax and put yourself back into that parasympathetic system.
Mhm.
Breathing out of sync. So you 7 times in, hold for 2, out for 8, whatever however this might look for you. And I have a bunch of
Yeah.
things on my platform, I'm sure you do too. Um,
Yeah.
there's so many easy ways that we can put ourselves back in the body. The trick
Yeah.
is to be in our bodies. Everything in our culture pulls us out. We're all in reaction. "Oh my god, did you hear what happened?" We're thinking if we can put ourselves into our feet and do some parasympathetic breathing or shove cotton gently up one side of your nose while you're listening to the news, reading your morning news. Keep yourself in your body, consuming things that make you heightened and more alert and more frightened will actually have an effect on you being able to stay in your body.
One of the things I started doing, and it's still a practice because I have that habit of checking my phone, right? The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is roll out of bed, say my affirmation that I created for myself. I make my bed, I do 10 sit ups, write down 6 things I'm grateful for. It's become a habit. I don't even think about it. It's similar to the other thing that I do is go get my cup of coffee every morning. It's not something that you think about. And prior, I had gotten caught up into looking on social media, and then you get into endless scrolling, and it takes your brain out of that relaxed state. It detaches you from your body. If you put in simple practices every day and do not look at that phone when you first get up.
Right.
It's a habit I've had to consciously make an effort to break. My granddaughter to thank for this because when she stays over, she sleeps with grandma. And she started saying, "Grandma, will you put on the night music?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "The night music." She's heard me listening to meditation music. So now every night she listens to night music.
Good.
And that really does rewire your brain. It gets you into this flow state of relaxation and it helps you come back into your body. So, those are 2 simple things you can do breathing and listening to meditative music.
I try to get into the habit of listening to meditative music, but I often fall asleep to a story of listening to books on tape. We have that in common. One of the things I started your morning routine this morning. I am in the habit where I get up before I've even turned on the coffee pot. I've turned on a podcast to catch up on what happened and I listen to my news. I can't watch news. Watching and listening at the same time overwhelms my system. I'll just listen to it while I'm playing solitaire or Sudoku. And I notice that I'm limiting the amount of penetration this news can have on me. So then I started playing with the breathing. If I'm listening to the news and I'm breathing the way we talked about, it makes a huge difference. I'm actually remembering what I'm listening to. Otherwise, I'm only half listening. So that's been a really helpful practice.
I stopped watching the news. I don't listen to the news because they feed you all this negative jargon and it gets me in that state of unhappiness and unsettled. The truth is, We are all exposed to news.
Mhm.
It's on social media. People are talking about it. You cannot escape it. So if I'm going to be honest, even though I don't watch or listen to it, I do. Using these techniques when scrolling can be really helpful. Thank you for sharing that. It made me realize I'm
Ah,
just some news inadvertently, not trying to, but it's there. So,
just because we're talking about news, one of the other things I've done is I limit how much I am exposed to it, and I go to a very trusted source, which I have chosen at the moment to participate in the ground news. Spies on you to figure out what your bias is, and then it will give you all of the articles of the day, but it'll show you this will challenge your biases, your belief systems, and this is very democratic, or this is very right wing, or this is independent news, or what have you. So I love it because they have a variety of different articles with different spins on the same topic. So you can see, you can check yourself for skewed news.
I'm going to check that out.
Oh, right.
Ground news.
Mhm.
Yeah, I want to see both sides. You cannot come together if you can't look at somebody else's viewpoint.
If you don't know the opinions of the other side, it's like you're fighting an invisible foe. For me, I should say me, not you, but if I'm going to be in my body as a spiritual and a political act, I need to be prepared and be aware and feel as though I can stand in both of my feet safely because I have the information that will ground me and make me balanced. Somebody
Mhm.
can push me out of balance with their information. I have a balanced interpretation. I've done homework and I feel confident.
I wanted to share this quote by Serena Williams, and I don't think it's ironic that she comes up during this conversation. Watched the Super Bowl, had to
Yes.
see her do her Compton dance, which she did maybe 15 years prior. She was pretty much annihilated by the press
Yeah.
for doing that same dance, and here it is, and she held her truth, stayed in her body, did the same dance, and now she's revered for doing that dance. Isn't that funny how that works? Say it reiterated to me the fact we need to stand firm in our truth. Her quote is, "Every woman's success should be an inspiration to another. We're the strongest when we cheer each other on." Serena Williams. And that's really what this is about. Like, I love the things that you are doing with the human design, the kaleidoscope. And we all have our strengths. We all have our gifts. We all have this calling within us. It's just sorting through that muck, getting in touch with your body, feeling these things, learning to move through them.
Yes.
That's when you can shine the brightest.
Yes. I love that. I think one of the things that we are taught to ignore about ourselves as humans, I don't believe this is only for women, but particularly for women, maybe, is that we have a very wise oracle within our bodies, a gut knowing. It's no mistake we use that term. When we are in our minds and out of our body, we are not connected to our gut. There's a brain in our gut, heart, and the brain. To be connected to the gut brain so we can feel what feels right and what feels wrong, that's the decision maker down there. This is human design talk. We do have two parts of the brain to reason and imagine, but the choice is made in your gut. Hopefully, inspiration for people to get embodied into their somatic state. So you have access to all that wisdom. Like Serena tried to say 15 years ago when she got canceled for doing the Compton dance, she knew
Yeah.
she was right then. She had to wait 15 long years, probably, for the world to be ready to receive her message. And so, even though I feel as though the world is not reflecting what I honor as truth, I believe there will be a time where that frequency will be held. Maybe today is not the day that my values are represented in the strongest fashion out in the world. And maybe we need to wait and not decide.
I don't know if I said this to you or someone else, but I feel the energy shifting. It doesn't reflect that in what's happening in the political scheme or what's decisions that are being made, but I can feel it changing. It's almost like we're getting stronger as women. I wanted to share a personal story. I feel this somatic practice and getting in touch with your spirit and body is important. After Brad died, I was detached. Then the pits weighed down by grief. I couldn't move. I had this horrible chest pain one night. I even said to Barry, "Do you think I could be having a heart attack? Maybe I should go to the." No, it's indigestion, but it was bad. So I laid down in bed and I said, "Okay, I'm going to give it a half hour. And if it doesn't go away, I'll go to the hospital." And it went away. I never went to the hospital. Years later, Brad died about 8 years ago. I'm much more in touch with my body, my feelings, and taking care of myself. I had some testing, and guess what? I have some heart damage. That experience flashed back to me, and I thought, this is why, as women, we need to be in touch with our bodies. We cannot let it is what it is, knowing that pay attention to what your body is telling you is so important for women. More women pass away from heart attacks because they ignore symptoms.
Women's bodies were not used as part of medical research until the late 80s. My father had 3 heart attacks and died at 94 of a heart attack. The way a female shows the signs of a heart attack is different than the way a male has those signs. I have goosebumps because I think for those of us women, the most empowered state we can be is as deeply entrenched and in our bodies as possible so that we know and we can identify what's happening with us. It doesn't mean we're going to know what is actually happening, but to
Right.
recognize different symptoms of a variety of things that can happen. I've got immune system things going on, which is, I just think, the result of holding on to so much stress for so long. I'm now super safe and super happy, and it's okay and allowed to experience that my body was hurting for a long time. I ignored it. There's evidence of damage to my system that was done through my life experience. And I honor you and see your experience. And I am not surprised
Yeah.
by experience.
Yeah. And
Surprised.
the other thing I wanted to bring up is, as a medical professional, women, when they go to a male physician, and nothing against male physicians, I think they're great. And I don't want to talk as a collective as a whole, but for the most part, if you're having some anxiety or depression, where it could be thyroid, it could be indigestion, it could be heart. And I think that as a woman that treats other women and men too, it's important that we put that out there that you have to be in touch with your body and be your own advocate.
Women's health is a growing field. It never occurred to me that my doctor was not aware of how my body functioned under stress or in these situations. It never occurred to me that my body would behave differently than a male's. The more we know, the more we realize there needs to be a variety of medical schools. Like you should be a doctor for females or males because the amount of education they need to treat either one with consistency and full awareness is impossible to expect for both. I
Mhm.
actually believe we have these experiences and we live these life paths that we have a purpose for living them.
Mhm.
I am incredibly grateful that I am to the point where I can show gratitude for my ex-husband because I was able to stop. We all talk about generational trauma these days. We talk about these generational patterns. This was a generational pattern. And I don't think I'm the only one fixing that. I think this is a pattern of female sovereignty that we get to define how we are going to be treated. I could not be my full person in that first relationship. I'm grateful I am now with a man who respects me for who I am and understands the woman I am becoming. We are all becoming. Isn't that
Mm.
so exciting?
Yeah.
And the more truth that we can become with will allow us to fill out our whole meat suit as fully and profoundly as each of our spirits is here to do.
The Body is a Sacred Garment by Martha Graham.
I
It
love that
and
quote.
it is a sacred garment, so we treat it with respect, love, and honor. I wanted to share a little project to help set your day. I get up and I say my morning mantra, and I've never been a big memorizer. I like to write things down. I like to read constantly. Things will come to me, but memorizing big poems and all that, I can't do it. So I wrote it. But what I did is I made a little piece of art, abstract, and on the back of it, I wrote my own morning mantra. And I'm going to read it to you. With each breath, I awaken to joy and possibility. My creative spirit flows freely through all I do today. I honor my inspirations, embrace challenges as growth, and celebrate the beauty in both creation and rest. My actions today are expressions of my authentic self. I am present, I am creative, I am joy, and I am me. I challenge you to get a piece of art and write a morning mantra. If you can't think of one, Google it or reach out to me and I can help you write your own mantra. It has been such a gift for me to start my day with positive energy, and it can shift the trajectory of your whole day. I'd like you to share this little project you're working on right now.
The drawing I did, this is part of the program I have written. It's based in neurographica, but it's actually a healing modality. And this is representative of the spiral of healing. I think people think, oh my God, I got through that, which implies a linear movement where you start somewhere, you go through a tunnel and come out the other side. I don't believe that's actually the way we move through life's larger dramas. I think it is a spiral, and we keep coming back and readdressing and re-experiencing the same themes in different forms, garments and costumes. I will tape how to do this, and it will be my gift to y'all. I welcome the thing I want to make sure everybody understands. You can do it on a post-it note. You can do it on a big old piece of journal paper like this. You can do it on the back of an envelope. It's a proven method of releasing the stress and the angst that we hold in our body so that we can feel the flow and release. It's really beautiful. It's a beautiful practice. I attribute where I am as a person because of this practice.
I can't wait to get my hands on that. If you need a piece of art, I have a free print. Check that out in the comments. As a recap, we've illustrated the importance of reconnecting with your body and senses, especially as a woman. So please take some of these. I look forward to grabbing your free gift. I'm so excited about that. I have been in some of her classes, so you're in for a real treat. Next week, we're going to be talking about healing from the inside out and why women need each other. Please share this with your friends. Leave a comment. Let us know if this has been helpful. I have a little group on Facebook, Catch Some Soul Shine. You're welcome to join and share. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
We'll see
I'm really excited to be here.
you next week.